What happens to the overage amount in Clark County, Nevada? Hi, my name is Julia M. Spencer. I'm a real estate advisor, investor, and your #1 source for real estate advice online. Welcome to my porch here, and I am going to answer some questions from my subscribers, and kind of need to catch up on this and don't have a lot of time to type, so I think this is the best way, and also I can reach the most amount of people with these answers. So I'm going to just read you the question. Sorry, I'm really blind, so I have to actually put my glasses on, but I had a question from Hector Rios, and he asks me this. He says, Julia, what does the excess amount after tax auction in Nevada represent? A given piece of property, the minimum bid is $1,000 and the final winning bid is $1,500. So what happens to the $500 above the minimum bid? This is where there is no additional expense on the property, only the back taxes. I hear you talk about the subject in your ebook in general, but I want to know in the case of Nevada. I recently went to Lincoln County to an auction. I did participate in the auction, but I did not buy anything. Thank you for sharing your knowledge through your ebooks and YouTube. So yes, I'm going to answer that question really quick. So first off, the best way to find info on a specific county is actually to ask the people that conduct the sale at that county. I can't tell you what the rules are for Nevada as a whole because every county is going to handle it differently. And there's quite astonishing differences sometimes that I've noticed even here in my own state of Georgia. I can go to Chatham County right here and they handle it a certain way. I can go to Effingham County, which is right next door to us, and they'll do it yet another way, and a number of different counties they do it yet different ways. So what you need to do is wherever you want to invest, you need to call there and ask those questions directly, because that's what I would do to answer this question anyway. So you might as well just do it and see who the person is that you want to talk to about this. But here's what happens to this overage, this excess amount, this extra money that is paid on top of what the back taxes were. And first off, a lot of times the taxing authority keeps it and they apply it to future taxes. Now just every property accumulates taxes every day. So even though the tax sale may have happened today, tomorrow we're going into the next taxing season, so there is taxes that are accumulated all throughout the year. So what a lot of times they do this is the way that it's normally done in most counties, is that the taxing authority just holds on to that money for 6 months to a year, and they apply that money to any future tax bills. That way they're covered. They don't have to chase down the new owner for the next taxes, and they're kind of covered themselves. That's kind of what they do with overage. That is if nobody comes and claims it. So another way that they handle it is that the taxing authority actually keeps the money, and after a certain period, usually a year, if it's not applied to future taxes, it goes into their general fund, and which basically just means that they keep it for themselves. So the money is forfeit, and this is the kind of the case that a lot of the excess proceeds and overage investors make to the owners that they want to sign on, saying like, hey, if you don't sign on with me collecting this money for you, it's going to get lost. The city and the county are going to keep it, you know, do it quickly, sign this paper, I'm going to get 50%. That's kind of like their sales pitch. So I've seen this done mostly in California. I haven't really seen it around the southeast too much. They kind of are very hesitant to keep anything because they have some pre-positioned notions that they are just unlikely to keep people's properties and people's money, you know, because of a lot of lawsuits, I guess, that have happened in the past. I don't know. Anyways, I've not seen any counties here in the southeast actually keeping the money. It's usually held in some sort of trust account, just kind of sits there until somebody comes. But most likely it sits there only as long as it's all used up for future taxes. They automatically, it's a positive balance basically on a tax account, Sometimes it's in the trust account, sometimes it's in the tax account, and then they just apply it to future taxes. So another way that this is handled is the taxing authority will return the excess overage to the original owner automatically, and they're going to basically send that to the original owner's last known address. That's kind of the least common that I've seen it do, because that actually takes effort and also costs money, and a lot of times the money is returned because the person doesn't live there anymore, or for some reason doesn't exist anymore. Maybe they passed away, and they're not going to spend the time or the effort try to find the heirs. In that case, they just keep it and just hold on to it until it's used up by future taxes and such. Now, if the overage amount is significant, this is usually how it's handled for like small amounts. But if the amount is like significant, if it's like $100,000 overage, which I've seen right here in Chatham County in Georgia, then you get these overage investors, these hawks and sharks, that actually go to the auctions themselves, and they make little notices of who bids what on what. And basically also called fund recovery agencies and third parties, there's websites where you can get the information on who paid what for what properties. They'll note all of this down, and they go seek out the actual original owners and have them sign these contracts with them in order to collect that money and bring that money to the original owner. Of course, collecting sometimes a very significant fee, up to 50%, which is astronomical, really. In some states and counties, they are not allowed to actually charge that much. There's a cap, sometimes 3 to 5, 10% or something, which kind of makes it not very useful for overage investors to go after the amount if it's too small, because if you're only going to get like 10% off of $500, that's not a lot of money. That's what, $50, so it's a waste of time. So anyways, they do this, they write contracts with the owners and taxing authorities, collect the money from one, give it to the other, collect the fee. So that's kind of the fourth way that it's done. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. Now, what happens to the overage in Nevada, I can't tell you for Nevada because every county in Nevada is going to be handled differently. You have to tell me what county, even if it's in Lincoln County like you stated in this question. I would recommend to call the taxing authorities and the authority that actually conducts the sale and ask them what happens to the overage. Nevada specifically Clark County, which is where I've gone before to go to auctions, they have a very good process where you can just contact the taxing authority and ask them to give you the forms, the contracts, the paperwork, and the step-by-step process, exactly how you need to fill out everything if you're an overage investor in order to collect the money from the taxing authority and give it to the original owner. And you have to follow their processes and fill out their forms and do their steps exactly. If you want to do it, if you want to help with that. In other counties, you kind of like on your own, and you have to come up with the contracts and forms yourself. So yeah, and that's kind of what happens to the overage. Hopefully that made sense. Somebody else actually asked me on my YouTube channel, what is an overage? That is the overage. It's the delta between what was owed and what the final bid was, that difference. Now just mind you that overages do not exist in a lot of states. For example, let's see, there's some, I don't even know what states right now, but there's some states where the overage amount cannot be collected by a third party. In a couple of counties around Atlanta, for example, they also cannot be collected by just any individual, like a third party like yourself. They require an attorney to do this work, so you will have to hire an attorney to do this. If you do hire an attorney, you have to pay the attorney. An attorney costs a lot of money, so you have to have either a large set of properties that you're trying to push through with the help of this attorney to make it worthwhile. or else you have to give the attorney some sort of cut and to make it worthwhile for them to do the work. And of course, you know, there's a lot of times no overage is created at all. For example, in the state of Florida, we have lien sales where the amount is set because it's not a bid up the amount state, it's a bid down the interest state. So the price that you're paying is already set up front. You're just bidding on how much interest you're going to make on that amount when it's redeemed eventually. So there's no overage. In any case, hopefully that was a good explanation. I hope to see you investing very successfully soon. Make sure you subscribe to my email list. You can go to my website, juliamspencer.com, subscribe there. Check out my radio shows. They're also all on YouTube. And if you have any more questions, feel free to ask. Check out my ebooks too on my website. Hope you have a great day. Happy investing.
For your free guide to real estate investing, visit juliamspencer.com.